Guys? Kevin Cork, Madrid, Spain. Speaking of Dallas, we go back there now to Baylor Medical Center, where at least a couple of the wounded from Thursday's shooting have now come to speak to the media for the first time.
Teresa Williams, Shatamia Taylor's sister.
Shatamia Taylor. I think I'm okay. I'm not entirely sure, what it is that everybody wants to know. I'm okay. Thank God for that. My kids are okay. We're all alive. And I first and foremost, I want to send my prayers to the family members of the officers who passed. I want to say thank you to the officers who were there for me and my son, who watched over us during that time. I just want to say thank you. I'm sorry. And they were really heroes for us. They saved my life. They saved my son's life, all of them. And I want to say thank you to them, first and foremost. It was not an experience that I ever thought I would have to go through in my life. I'm glad I did, because it makes me a better person. It makes my sons better people. They have a clear understanding of how the world really can be and how some people really are selfish. And they don't take into consideration the lives of others and the mental and the physical and the emotional turmoil that we will have from here on out. I do want to say thank you to everybody for the prayers and the well wishes. Prayers are always welcome, always needed. I guess I just have to answer whatever questions you may have.
Shatamia, can you walk us through what happened that night? Can you tell us how everything went down?
Okay.
Even starting with why you went to the protest and how it was.
Okay. Well, with everything, and not just the two recent incidents from the Alton or the field in Louisiana and Minnesota, but just everything before, and even the things that have not been televised. There's been incidences all around the world that have not even been televised, that being a mother of 5 young black men, I sat down with my kids when I came home from work on Thursday, and we talked about everything, and I talked to them about how they needed to comply if for whatever reason they were ever stopped by the police. Comply, be respectful of self, of them, answer questions, or either just, tell them your name, your age, and to contact your parent. You need to contact my mother. That's what I was telling them. And it just so happens that a post came on Facebook about a meeting at the park downtown. I'm not real familiar with downtown Dallas, but I Googled it and I asked the boys if they wanted to go, and they all say, yeah, let's go. And I want to show them that we can be unified, that there could be a peaceful march. And we were there, and it was really nice. It was very peaceful. It was very informative. The kids had a good time. They were, my 12-year-olds like, oh, I'm making history. I get to march, And like I said, I'm not real familiar with Dallas, but we marched around, and we were just coming back down, and I believe they were on the stairs of the courthouse. I think that's what it was. And be it that I had to be to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and the crowd was kind of big. I told the boys, let's go before the traffic gets too much. And as we were walking back, it was really just me and my boys. Everybody was still headed in the direction of the rally, and we were walking up Main, I believe it was. I'm not entirely sure what that cross street is that we were on at the corner. But the officers had the street blocked off. And we were standing on the corner getting ready to cross the street to go up to where my car was parked. And we heard a shot. And we all looked. We didn't know what it was, you know, like, because it's so close to the 4th of July. And we all kind of looked, and it was a pause, and there was a second shot. And the police officer, I saw him, kind of tall, hefty, white guy, bald. I remember seeing him. And that second shot, he kind of, as he was going down, he said he has a gun. Run. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He said he has a gun. He has a gun. Run. And my kids started running. And I wanted to make sure that they were all in front of me, so they started running up the block, and I was running behind them. And I felt the bullet. I don't know if it bounced off the ground or what, but I felt it when it hit me in the back of my leg. And my son, Andrew, had turned around to grab me. Because I guess he turned around to see where I was, and he went to grab me, but I had already been shot. So I tackled him, and pushed him into the street. And I think he hit the car, and we ended up in between the car and the curb. And I just laid on top of him. And police officers had started coming up the block. And one of them, I heard him when he said, "Is anybody hit?" My son said no, because he didn't know I was shot. And I was saying yes, but I wasn't saying it loud enough so my son could hear me, because I didn't want him to hear me. And the officer said it again kind of loud, and I said, "Yes, sir, I'm hitting my leg." And the other officer jumped on top of me and covered me and my son. And there was another one at our feet, and there was another one over our head. And there was several of them lined against the wall over there, and they stayed there with us. And I saw another officer. Saw another officer get shot right there in front of me again. That was two. I'm sorry. I don't know if the shooter moved, but they were able to get us up, get me up, help me to get me up, and put me in the back of the police car. And, another officer was in the back of the car, and my son. And that car was riddled with bullets. I'm thankful that officer didn't get hit as he was driving us. My son, as far as I know, it's like when we pulled into the hospital, it was the police car came in on rims only. The whole time I just kept praying, because I got separated from my other three. I remember seeing Kavion as I was laying on the ground on top of Andrew. I remember seeing Kavion snatch my youngest one, like really snatched him and pulled him into the garage, but the door was down on the garage, that gate was down, so they just were standing up against it. I couldn't find Juwan, because he had just taken off. But I just prayed the whole time. I was on the ground with Andrew in that car, back on the ground in the front of the hospital, because they pulled me out the car and they had to lay me on the ground there because there wasn't a gurney available. And there was another officer, I think it was the officer that had gotten shot in front of me. He was on a gurney, headed into the hospital, and they got one, and I was still praying, and I was still praying in the hallway into the room, just kept praying for everybody, for my sons to be safe, for the officers to be safe, because it was, I had never been in a situation like that before. It was hundreds of rounds. Just, I had never heard anything like that before. It was just shots all around us. But I'm thankful. I'm so thankful for the Dallas Police Department and whoever else, ATF, I don't know who was down there, but I'm thankful for all of them because they had no regard for their own life. They stayed there with us. They surrounded my son and I. And I'm so thankful for that because all I could do was just lay on top of him and just pray. Even though I knew I was gonna be okay. I knew I was. Like I just got shot in the leg. It might not be that bad, but it was a little worse than I thought. But I'm sorry that it happened. I'm sorry that that person thought that that would be okay, that he thought it would, or that it would solve something. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that they lost their lives. But I'm thankful. I'm so thankful.
2 civilian victims in the Dallas shooting speaking for the first time, talking about her experiences and thanking the police officers who quite literally, in her words, had no regard for their own lives as they tried to save hers. As we remember the 5 officers in Dallas, we also deal with the fallout of this that Shetemaya talked about a lot, saying that she had no idea how the shooter in Dallas thought his actions could save anything.